Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, 4:36 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we're still in an uptrend since those follow-through days. And if we take a look at the trend gauge over here on the right side of the screen, market leader is still in grow mode. Short-term EMA, we're trending above 51 days above the 21 EMA, and that power trend stays alive. Yellow sub arrow there. And then medium term above the 50-day moving average as well with the yellow sub arrow. Just getting a little bit extended, long in the tooth. Just something to be aware of. And then long term above the 200-day moving average. And we have that full bullish alignment of the moving averages, 8, 21, 50, and 200-day, all sloping up and above each other. What happened today? S&P is trading in a pretty tight range. The ATR is now down to 0.89%. So today was a 25-point range, just back and forth, combination of low volatility, summer trading, sometimes less action. But again, there's nothing wrong with that in an uptrend, and you'll tend to see individual stocks outperform. A lot of leaders digesting, some pulling back, and then Bitcoin on the cusp of breaking out. We're watching that very closely. 21 over 21 list was down 0.76%. 7 green, 2 neutral, 12 red. Turbo 12 down 2.19%. 2 green, 1 neutral, 9 red. Big 8 down 0.22%. RG8 up 0.07%. And then you can see down here, equal weight outperforming the S&P 500, QQQ equal weight also outperforming just the Qs, and then relative strength in mid and small caps, kind of similar to what we saw last week, not as exaggerated, but again, small caps outperforming nicely on the day, and momentum down, some more flows into value, some of the other sectors, regional banks. Flagship portfolio, GROTECTION down 0.28% on the day, and TurboTection down 0.85% on the day. Let's get into the inter-asset correlation. So we're charting the S&P 500, and as you can see, super tight inside day, just above the 8 EMA, and don't fight the trend until it bends. Volatility is drying up quite a bit, and you can see just super tight, holding above 6,200, and again, just focusing on the 8 to hold, 61.47, previous all-time highs. The market dipped down, that could be an opportunity. And then this 21 day, so a little bit short-term extended. So maybe the market corrects via time versus price and just consolidate and form a flag here at all-time highs, or just continues higher. RSP, nice relative strength here today, continuing after breaking out of this kind of pennant the other week. QQQ, again, similar to S&P 500, volatility is really drying up. Tight inside day, closed above that 550, held the 8 yesterday. And again, just like watch some levels. If the market pulled back, 540.81's a level, 821. So just keep an open mind. Mag 7, it's tight inside day. Amazon was down today. I'll just bring that up over here. It's Prime Day and their sales are down 14%. So that got a negative reversal right when that news came out. You can see it on the intraday chart. I believe it was right here. Dumped hard, tried to rally back up, closed near the lows. And again, this is just historically a pretty choppy stock. Doesn't go on super clean. You can just see this whole base has been quite choppy. All right, let's see. Sorry. Now to mid caps again. Looking great. Relative strength after breaking out from the space, continuing higher. Russell 2000, nice here. I'm holding above this 2200, and that was kind of the neckline in this head and shoulders-ish formation. And again, good to see small caps showing strength. ARC looks good here in the highs, and again, zooming out to the weekly. This is just now coming out of a big stage one base. So this is good for risk on assets, growth stocks has typically. FFTY bearish engulfing today for the leaders index. The VIX down 16.81, living below 17 now. And that's good to see volatility continue to dry up. And we especially see that in the ATR, the S&P 500. The dollar may perhaps This is trying to put an undercut and reclaim of this 97.92. And I read a stat earlier this week that I believe the dollar is the most stretched from the 200-day moving average in years. So clearly you can see this chart's oversold. If this starts to snap back up, does that mean precious metals and gold are going to pull back? We're looking at this one as, gold setting up for potential short here. You have the 821 50-day all clumped together, and breaking all those today. And then, it tried many times to get through these highs, continued to make lower highs. Relative strength line is weakening. Gold's been on a huge run, right? This started, even in 2023, around here. So gold's been on a huge run. Now it's finally starting to show a little bit relative weakness. So we'll see how it acts, or this is just could be in a period of consolidation base building, but we are watching this as a potential short. And a way to express that is via dust. And you can see we don't chart inverse ETFs because they have decay, the chart's skewed. But sometimes when they get huge volume off the lows, that's worth taking note. GDX breaking the 50-day here as well, potentially failed breakout right here, and now coming in lower, kind of. So we'll see how these react rest of the week. Silver looks better than gold now. RS line's making higher lows in a nice base here. Bitcoin, the chart everybody's watching. Right? Weekly base on base pattern, just super tight in the upper end of this range. Looks really good through 63.70 on IBITS. Obviously, the clear breakout line, but shook out to the 50-day, found support back above the 821, that 200 days sloping up nicely. And we're seeing a lot of strength in some of the miners, Coinbase, and sometimes that foreshadows Bitcoin to make a move as well. But again, looking really good for a move higher. Bonds just sitting at the 50-day. TLT, similar thing, not a whole lot to comment. Rates, 5 days up in a row. You can see it's been showing some strength here as well, and that's with bonds coming down. So although some of the rate sensitive sectors, despite yields up 5 days in a row, saw biotech was strong today. Regional banks, typically sectors that are weak when rates are up, and they were all having decent days today. So continue to watch that as well. All righty, that's the interest correlation. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Some news wise, right? Some more tariff headlines are coming out. Trump said the administration is probably 2 days away from sending the EU a letter. And then also some more tariff stuff. President Trump said he will soon announce tariffs on copper at 50%. That kind of launched FCX, that's Freeport McMoran, SCCO, Southern Copper, and then those kind of faded into the close. Always tough chasing commodities on strength. Today's keys, S&P versus the 8 and all-time highs, green arrow there. Same with the Qs, and then the Russell's holding above the 8, and then watching that 2249 level. Going into tomorrow, watching the same stuff. Pretty clear. Day count, kind of consolidation 11 days above the 8, 51 days above the 21. And again, that's quite some time. So always being aware. In 2023, after the fall through day, we were up more than that. Don't know the exact number, but it was highs. But again, continue to ride higher above the 21. That's a good sign. Action today, like I mentioned, is tight 25-point range back and forth. And then sectors wise, oil, energy, semiconductors were really strong today. Regional banks, builders. So, regional banks, builders, XLE, some of those rotation sectors that had a big day last week, pulled back, and now being up again today. Weakness, silver, gold, communications, and real estate. GROTECTION today just trimmed Spotify. 1.32 beta, 5.21% open heat. TurboTaxion bought Toast, 1.8 beta, 5.23% open heat. Bottom line, S&P tight range, leaders digest, and Bitcoin looks for a breakout. Let's get into the charts. Alrighty, GROTECTION trim Spotify, breaking the 21 today. It's been on a nice run. And then TurboTaxion took Toast, was breaking out, then squatted back into the 21-day. We'll see how this reacts tomorrow. All right, 21 over 21 list. SoFi, super strong. Some of these finance loans, these names have come back to life, and these went on huge runs in 2024. So quite the move for SoFi today. Short term, pretty extended, not viable here. So be on watch for a pullback or while we're at it. And then, you got some other names in the group. Upstart, similar. Affirm, again, been on a nice run. So sector's been strong. FCX, I talked about that. Just got that pop on that 50% tariffs on copper and then came back in. But again, copper's been strong and this has got a nice base. Nvidia just getting super tight at the highs, no give back whatsoever. Semiconductors continue to be super strong. This is hanging out at new highs. Uber, nice day two follow through on this one after breaking out of the space. CRDO, this one's flagging at the highs. Again, looks good. Clear leader right now. Palantir, nice after showing some, short-term relative weakness after this day, breaking the 21, and then found support at the 50-day, now coming back up. And this actually found support on the 10-week line as well. So good action from there. Light, just consolidating here. Net, one of the strongest in the software group, continuing higher. GEV, undercut and reclaim of the eight. And again, a lot of these names are kind of extended, but again, they're just respecting the moving averages and they continue to move higher. A lot of them aren't viable here, but again, if you own it from lower, just trailing. Coinbase, found support at the eight. This one was kind of breaking out at the open and then came back in, but again, looks fine, letting that 21-day catch up. So perhaps it just consolidates here for a little bit longer. Shake Shack consolidating at the highs. ZS, again, another monster in the cybersecurity space, but again, just pretty extended up here. That 21 and 50 days catching up, though, that's a good sign. Axon consolidating at the highs. AVAV, this had a price target upgrade this morning at 335, which was pretty big. But again, this was a strong earnings gap on huge volume, good earnings report, day two and day three higher high with volume pouring in. And then this one just kind of pulled back abruptly, letting the 21 catch up. And one thing, we're keeping an eye on this one because sometimes people lose track of these earnings gappers that pull back. And sometimes the best ones undercut gap day lows or just shoot up for a couple days and then come back and retest. So watching this one, but yeah, pulling back, potentially offering an opportunity. VST just continues to truck higher. But again, no real follow through. And that's one thing that you'll see in a lot of these charts is they continue to trend higher. But if you're buying strength, you're seeing it coming back on you and just kind of trying to be patient here as the market's been a lot more choppy. Covered Spotify, PWR, right, pulling back to the 21. DoorDash, strong day on Monday and then just gave it all back today, but the chart looks fine. That's just a perfect example of buying strength and just coming back in on you. HUD, again, coming back in, sitting right at the eight. This one is a little bit short-term extended, but again, just riding the averages higher. CCJ, another one, strong day on Monday, outside reversal today. Some of the AI data center power generation names pulled back today. And then CoreWeave first closed below the 21-day moving average since this base breakout happened. So definitely character change on this one. We'll see if it gets bought up. But again, you could argue this is kind of showing a little topping here. Potential head and shoulders, the averages are kind of starting to roll over. This one is pretty extended. It's had a huge move from the IPO at 40 to all the way to almost $200. So could just be entering a period where it needs a couple weeks to a couple months of basing. It's been a pretty phenomenal move out of the IPO base. All right, that's 21 over 21. Let's take a look at Turbo 12. So one thing I did want to mention, obviously, the Turbo 12 has more high beta names. And what I mean by that is like some of the true momentum stocks that have a higher ATR, they're more risk on. And the Turbo 12 can give a good gauge on like risk on, risk off. And some of these high beta names that have been on huge runs had some pretty outside reversal candles. Sezzle is one. I mean, this is absolutely one of the best names in the market, absolute leader. Big outside reversal breaking the eight. So we'll see. It's been respecting that average this whole move since the earnings gap. And there's a rule some people have. It's called the 10-week rule. And if a stock respects a certain moving average for 10 weeks, and then once it breaks, that's a character change. But again, nothing wrong with this chart, just overextended and may start to pull back here. Dave, this is another good example as well, starting to pull back. LEU, right, had a strong day after 21 day and then gave 3/4 of that move back today and kind of fits themes. Been seeing some pullbacks in some of the nuclear names, power generation names. LEU is one of them. I'll go back to still 35% above the 50-day. Oddity tried to break out, failing back to the 21. Qubit 2-day pullback on lower volume, still holding up pretty well. Lemonade, sitting right at the 21-day, tried to go today, came back in. Sedge, so one thing with the solars is they had bad news again today, and I'll pull up the chart of TAN and barely closed down on the day. The news was the big something with cuts. I forget exactly. You could find it pretty easily. But the solars make a good case for a bottom. We don't make predictions at Revere, but we look at the facts and TAN's coming out of big stage one base back by the 200-day moving average all through here. Multiple gap downs on horrible news, got bought back up and now starting to trend up. And we have Sedge in here. This is a big stage one base. Let's see this. You can see big stage one base. It's hard to see this chart on market search, but again, retested the top of the base and found support. And then some other ones, you have First Solar. This one's weakening today. NXT, this is the leader hanging at highs out of an IPO base, pulling back to the top of the base breakout. So continue to monitor this sector for, kind of a turnaround situation. KTOS hanging out at the highs, found support at 21. ASTS getting in a tight range, letting the 21 catch up, and Rocket Lab's been super strong. We unfortunately got stopped out of this one in TurboTection. We bought it right here, shot up, came all the way back to our costs, and then after we got stopped out, this is ripped, 30-40%. But again, these space stocks continue to be strong. ASTS had a super strong move out of this 6-month to year-long base, and now that 21 days finally starting to catch up. INOD, another example of buying strength and getting punished in this market. Looked like it was breaking out today and then closed back under the pivot. And again, common thing we're seeing is it's just been tougher the last 2-3 weeks on buying strength. A lot of things have came back in. Obviously, there's a lot of names that have been very strong, but on balance, it seems like a lot of these buying strength has been harder versus buying weakness, buying pullbacks or setting moving averages. AAOI consolidating here looks good. OUST, nice bounce off the 21 and closing higher on the day. This one's got a huge base. This one's been extremely strong, and I believe, and you can, yeah. So good action there. So some other notable things. Futu, this one's breaking out of a huge base. This is a China brokerage company worth keeping on radar. And then just some other nuclear stocks. SMR tried to hold the 21, getting rejected. Oklo, similar thing, tried to pop back above the 21, getting rejected. So these ones may just be signaling that they need to take a breather as well. And and then semiconductors too. MU, great bounce off the 21 and follow through. AMD, again, didn't even touch the 21, coming back up today. Avgo, pulling back a little bit, but hanging out at the highs. You have KLSC. This one's higher. This one's pretty high price, but again, continues higher at highs. And then ALAB has been a laggard in the semis, but you can see super tight action with the 821.50 starting to get back above the 200-day. So this one looks good too for a turnaround play in the space as well. Worth the watch as well. So again, market's a little bit short-term extended. Volatility's drying up, so going to be just continue to be more selective on new buys and yeah, the market looks healthy across the board though. So that is going to wrap it. As I always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com, or you can reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. And that's going to wrap it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.